Come check out the extremely innovative Season of War Firestorm Campaign box.
Spiking bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Rob Baer here again with you today. Taking a look at the new Season of War Firestorm box to give you our fair and honest review of this bad boy right here. And I'll tell you what, straight up, this is pretty legit. Like, I won't lie. Everything about this screams quality, and we play tested the crap out of this. I was reading through it. I mean, I'll be honest, I did pick it up and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a good look. And I was looking through the rules and I was looking at all the components. And I was like, okay, it looks kind of flashy. And then I started reading everything and I was like, what? This is actually really cool. And the quality of everything in the box also is very top notch. So this has me incredibly optimistic for hopefully something like this for Warhammer 40K as well, and campaign books and boxes and neat stuff like that in the future. Now we definitely see with Games Workshop, they like to use Age of Sigmar as their test bed for stuff like this. So I could definitely see in the near future at least something like this coming out for 40K, at least in my mind. But maybe I'm overselling it, maybe I'm overthinking it, maybe I'm just getting too hype about the product itself, but I am very, very excited to share this with you and kind of break it all down and show you how it works. Because I'll be quite honest, I saw some other videos some other folks put out, they got it ahead of time, whatever. Literally had nothing to do with how this works. I listened to their videos and I was like, okay, cool, it's all right, you know, whatever. And then I get it and I read through it and I was like, that is nothing like anybody talked about. And I was a little fired up about it because, you know, we pride ourselves on trying to be as fair and accurate, you know, with our reviews as possible. And I was a little upset about some of the things that were being said that, you know, just read the material. Just read the material. That's all you got to do. Read the material, give your opinion. But I digress. Sorry, folks. All right. So this box contains a 64-page full-color Firestorm booklet. This thing is actually pretty good. It's going to give you rules for allegiance rules for a ton of different new allegiances. I think there's 9, to be honest. Yes, 9 sets of allegiance abilities in here for existing Age of Sigmar factions. You get 256 map markers, some of which you see right here. There's army ones, there's player ones, there's garrison markers, there's army battle, there's faction, there's all sorts of stuff in here. It's pretty dope. 131 cards, there's 4 decks of domain cards that are all identical each, and that you're gonna build your basically like your living card game kind of deck for the campaign. You store them all in your card envelope for each Grand Alliance there. So that's kind of the overview, and of course you get a game board. Not just a little fold out, you know, paper wannabe mat. You're gonna get a full-on game board that you would expect to get out of a board game. So there's your Firestorm booklet. Here's all your sticker sheets. You've got your large faction ones, which are gonna go in the corner of your game board right there. Then you've got all of your army faction ones, your realm gates, because you can teleport around the board and get extra glory points. You've got your army names right here, your garrisons, more factions. When people battle, you're gonna put this with the army name in one of the 23 new regions on the map. Now this is the Flamescar Plateau, a region here, and it's divided into 23 regions, and there's 3, I think there's 3 key regions. We'll take a look at it here in a sec when I fold it out. More of that, more factions. So you've got your 4 main, I guess we could say players or teams. You can do players, you can obviously do teams, whatever you want to do, but these are going to be the color representatives and the team name here, and then perhaps, you know, something a little like, you know, you might just say Team B or whatever name, and then you're going to say the army right there, and maybe be a little bit more specific because you got a little bit more room. But I digress. Getting into it, now you've got the board itself, and this board, it's a board. Like, no BS. This is legit. Like, it folds out. You can see here the back, very hard. It's going to fold out into a full-on sized game board that you would expect to see from something not from Games Workshop, to be quite honest. Like I said, this is quality. They did a really good job on this. The $65 price tag on this box set, if I haven't mentioned it already, is nothing to sneeze at. I think it's definitely worth it. And then here it is, the Flamescar Plateau. It's going to show you all the 23 regions, and then the ones marked with these little double-handed or twin hammer symbols here. These are important regions that you can get abilities off of if you conquer that area. And we'll get a little bit more into that here in a sec. So there's all that. And then you've got your envelopes to put your factions in. Obviously Chaos, Destruction, Death, and Sigmar, but you know, they could stand for whatever. If you don't have, you know, you don't have to be like, oh, we gotta have a Sigmar player, we gotta have a Destruction player. That's just the symbology behind it there. And then you've got the domain decks, and it's really cool how everything kind of fits into here. Now, I only opened one of these because they're all identical. This is going to be your living card game basic type deck that you're going to build your personal domain deck out of for the length of the campaign. So there's 3 different ones of those. We'll just put that aside right now. And then the meat and potatoes of everything, which is going to be your secret objective cards. Everybody gets one of those to start. Your strategic cards, like if you want to capture one of those strategic areas I just told you about with the twin hammers, you're going to get an actual card with an ability on it that is going to give you abilities in the game. One of the ways to actually win is to get the Scepter of Flame, and that's going to give you ability. Or you can capture the Infinity Gears and have a little bit more control of the Realm Gate bopping around the table. Then you've got build points, and this is going to control. Well, there's 2 different ways to play. You can play power level or you can play points. There's options for both in the campaign book, and these are going to kind of have your build points that you can bank in your campaign envelope. And I think your limit is 3 build points there, so you can keep up to 300 points in reserve if you need it to build out and match up and battle against somebody. And then glory points, this is how you keep track of how well you're doing. You can't have, like, for instance, 4 glory points in here. You would have to cash them in and have like an 8 or something like that. The only way to win the game, or one of the ways, is, well, probably the vast majority of the ways, is to get 30 glory points. And you keep track of those cards in your campaign envelope as well. So everything is kind of like hidden inside these campaign envelopes, and that's where you keep track of everything. So I'm going to slide these out of the way real quick, just so we can quick reference them as we go through the rulebook, because I'm basically going to run you through the important points of kind of how to play the campaign right here, just to show you how cool and how fun it really is. And I'll throw all this stuff. Oh, and something else I wanted to show you too that I thought was neat. So not only is this board pretty dope, but also you don't have to worry about ruining it by putting these stickers on it. They're just little vinyl stickers. So you literally take it off. It's like a window cling almost. You just stick it on there, then boom, chaos, and then you just kind of use your fingernail as gently as possible, of course, and you just kind of peel it back. And it's just static, it's just friction. That's how it sticks on there. Very easy. And as what I'm about to show you from the campaign book itself, kind of how battles are engaged, we'll use the book right there, or the board right there, to kind of show you. Well, I guess you'll see the diagrams in here too, so it's no big deal. So opening up the book, boom, icon key. Oh, hey, that's what all that stuff is. So lots of different factions that you can play. And then of course you put these up in the corner for who's actually, you know, kind of on the board, or who's the major players of, you know, the campaign. And then there's going to be the breakdown of how to use this box, some of the new areas and things. Really, this is just, this particular one here is the Flamescar Plateau, but it talks about, you know, new frontiers and stuff. This is similar to some of the stuff we saw in the, what was it, the Season of War 2 years ago, I want to say, or a year ago. There's actually some of the allegiance abilities in here, like the Phoenician, the Greywater Fastness, the Living City. These were all straight out of the Season of War. Hammerhall, of course, some of these cities are ones that have founded after results of the Season of War, but all this stuff kind of comes full circle, and it's a part of it right here, of course, right? So, campaign rules introduction, they're going to go through all the rules and how it all plays, and it's going to go into battle plans. And these particular battle plans right here are not normal, hey, just set up across from each other and kind of skirmish. These are actually attacker and defender scenarios. So there's going to be a little bit more, perhaps, advantage to the attacker as the defender, because the defenders generally are caught unawares in these. We're not really going to go over them, but it's just something to be aware of. So it's going to bust out, hey, how to use this box. Okay, cool. But let's skip ahead to the meat and potatoes of exactly how to play with this box. There's a lot of fluff and stuff in here. We're not going to worry about it right now. Here's the components. We already went over them. your map, your rulebook, your markers, your realm gate markers, all your cards and different things in the order they are right there. How to set up the campaign? Well, long story short, and we're not going to tell you everything, obviously, from this review. It's up to you whether if you want to pick up the box or whatever. But long story short, you're going to build out your domain card deck in your card envelope, your campaign envelope. There's going to be a certain amount of these cards that you actually get. There's duplicates in here, and you can use build points to get duplicate cards. Sometimes a card replaces another card, and there's instructions on the card of how that actually works. And then here's the Grand Alliance markers that go in there. And they give you an example of, hey, here's an altar marker. You know, they don't really show the garrisons or the battles or anything in here, but there's your 3 key sections right there for the strategic regions, which give you some of those cool abilities right there, like the Infinity Gears and the Scepter of Flame, which you can actually use to win the game itself. Regional control and garrisons. If you have control of an area, which everybody starts out with 1, you get a garrison, you get a player name, and your little icon right there. The realm gate bops around the table a little bit. When you set up a battle, you're going to put your 2 army markers opposing each other right there, so players know, hey, this has got to go down a certain amount of time. We got to actually play the battle right there. And if one person can't play, obviously bow out and give the other player the victory. Now, when you fight a battle, you have to pick, draw domain cards and pick armies. You're going to draw your domain cards, which is going to show you on the next roll. I think it's 6 cards you draw. Shuffle the deck of domain cards from their domain envelope. Now remember, you're building, it's not every card in the deck. You have to build out your domain deck originally, which the instructions were just a couple pages further. Then you're going to draw out of that deck a hand of 6 domain cards. And depending on what you pull, you're going to get a certain amount of strategic points and a certain amount of muster points. And all that is going to determine what you can actually field on the tabletop. So an army can never have more than 20 muster points in total. 1 muster point allows you to take 10 wounds worth of models, or up to 100 points worth of models in match play. You also, players fighting a battle in the region with an altar receive D3 extra muster points. Altars dedicated provide 1 muster point rather than D3 muster points, etc., etc. There's more special rules and things, but we're not really going to get into that and kind of talk about that. Now, strategy points are pretty cool. Strategy points, which are right here, can be spent to give you, strategy points are basically command points, just like in Warhammer 40k, 8th edition. So you're going to be able to spend command points to do stuff, but you have to write them down. You can also use them to reroll dice. A hit, a wound, a save roll, a reroll of dice, and a casting or unbinding of a spell. Very similar to Warhammer 40k, of course. But you can also use them to get these right here, and you have to write these down to actually be in your army. Things like that are very useful, to be quite honest. Pick 1 unit in your army. That unit can be set up in accordance with the rules being used for this battle. Maximum range of attacks is limited to 12 inches in the first battle round, so you can actually get across the table. You know, so there's a lot of good stuff here. Depending on who you're going up against, you might want to use a specific stratagem. So that's really cool. That gives you a narrative nature that we really hadn't seen before. Once the battle's over, there's always, you know, to the victor goes the spoils. There's a certain amount of shared spoils, which are going to be D3 build points, so you can try to rebuild your army. There's also something in here about you can only have up to 3 build points in reserve in your campaign envelope, and that of course represents 300 300 extra points you can use to build out your army if you're doing it that way. But from what it looks like, you can also spend them immediately to add units to your army, and you would keep a running tally of what's in your army and stuff. There's, all the instructions right here. You can also buy more domain cards. Now, there's a little discrepancy right here. It says all domain codes are individually numbered, and a player's deck is not allowed to include any duplicate cards, which there are duplicate cards. I haven't seen where they're individually numbered. Now, I might be wrong, but I scoured this card. I mean, here's an example. There's no individual number here at all, unless they're talking about the 3 build points. And there's only 1 3 build point card in here, which may be what they're talking about, but it's kind of unclear. These don't have an individual number, you know what I mean? But again, you'll see there is duplicates. So you can't have duplicates, but you can do things like there's cards that replace other cards. Like this temple replaces a shrine. So you can't buy this card. You can buy it for 3 build points, but you have to replace the shrine card out of your campaign envelope. So that kind of gives you an idea of how all that works and everything. Now, there's some rules on all of that, keeping track of all the things and the glory points and build points. Now, glory point cards, those are the cards right here that we just showed you. those just go in your envelope. A glory point, a player cannot have 2 glory point cards at the same value at the same time, so you can't have 2s. You'd have to just, cash them in for an 8. The realm gate moves around the table, and there's the location kind of chart right there, which gives you an idea of how cool that is. And then there's special rules. Everybody gets a secret objective at the start of the campaign itself, which are, you get to look through these right here. You can parlay and trade. You can parlay reinforcement cards. You can even give people concede control of garrisons and things on the map. Just lots of cool stuff right there. Total glorious victory, 30 glory points. If you amass that, you are the total ultimate winner. But remember, it's going to be kind of hard because you got 1 glory point, then you got 4 glory points, then you got to have 8 glory points. You'd have to have 16 glory points. I think that's how it works, because you can't have the same card, right? So if you can't have the same card twice, that's 24 and 5. That's only 19. Oh, there's a 2. Excuse me. That wasn't even correct math. There's the 2. That makes it all worth it. So gives you an idea right there. You're gonna have to be careful on how you amass that. But that ultimately wins. And then of course, a player immediately wins the campaign if they control all 3 of the strategic realms. And see the Titan War rules for Titan Works on page 52. How to reforge the Scepter of Flame. So that's a card in one of the 3 strategic realms of how you can spend build points to get the Scepter of Flame. So that will, boom, make it happen. And then it goes into battle plans and things like that. Like I said, these are attacker and defender scenarios right here. And then last but certainly not least, we've drawn out enough, is the allegiance abilities in the back of the book. There's 9 of these bad boys. They basically tell you how to do it, how you can have additional command traits, battle traits, artifacts of power. There really isn't any restriction on that. You can still port all of them over as long as you all share the same armies that share the same allegiance benefit from powerful allegiance abilities called battle traits. So this is basically saying an army with the allegiance that can use allegiance abilities specific to that allegiance in games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They allow you to use, this is all stuff we've seen in the normal battle tones, which is going to port off of Order, Chaos, Death, or Destruction. And if you take, as long as you stay to your allegiance, which is one of the 4 big ones right here, then if you have, like, say, Sylvaneth and Stormcast Eternals in your army, you would still be eligible to take one of the allegiance abilities that pertained to any organization that has Sylvaneth, and also the Stormcast Eternals here, which there are actually a couple that have that. And once you match that up to your organization, then you confer that ability over there, in addition to the other, battalions and things that you might have. And there's actually 9 of these. They're pretty decent. I mean, they're maybe not worth going out of the way to get, but they are right there. And then of course you have a reference page at the back with a quick spin of how to bounce around the realm gate table, your stratagems, which are all, it might actually come down to using your stratagems to get those really sweet abilities to match up well against the other players in the campaign itself. So really neat book. I mean, this is 64 pages on itself, and this with the cards and everything, the board, all this stuff here, we just showed you how you would set up. You'd say, hey, I got the garrison's here, my army's here, and then somebody comes in and tries to actually challenge you and take it over. So really nice campaign system. I was blown away with its complexity, but yet its simplicity as well, and the ability to kind of have you up and running quick with all these tokens, and then you set up everything in your your campaign envelope. Everything's in there, and there's rules pretty much for everything, but it's not obnoxious. You just saw there's really only 8 pages of rules with additional allegiance abilities in the 64-page book right here. So overall, man, I am super stoked. I think Games Workshop did a great job, a great job on this new Firestorm box. I can't wait to gather up some of my friends and throw down on some of this campaign action right here in the near future. Now, if you like our video features here on the channel, make sure you subscribe to us, turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on our posts, and head on over to longwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, VIP access, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.